Welcome to the Parkland Cares podcast, where we discuss mental health issues with experts in the field. I am Stacey Udine, the Executive Director of Parkland Cares, which was created in 2018 following the February 14th shooting tragedy at Marjory Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida. Our mission is to raise funds and awareness for the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting survivors, their families, and the community at large. We award grants to local nonprofit organizations that provide trauma care and mental health counseling for them. And I would like to welcome the program director, Rebecca Jarquin. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hi, Stacey. Thank you so much for having me.
So can you tell us a little about yourself and tell us a little about what Eagles Haven is all about?
I am the program director here at Eagles Haven. I am a licensed clinical social worker. And Eagles Haven is a wellness center that was developed mindfully and solely for the MSD community after the tragedy that occurred on 2/14. So about after the 1-year anniversary, there were 2 suicides that occurred at Stoneman Douglas. And it was really clear that this community needed a wellness center. So we were opened in March following that 1st-year anniversary. The community really spoke, and what they wanted was a warm and inviting place where they could come, they could commune to try to restore some hope and build resiliency. And that's how Eagles Haven came to be.
So how do people find you from the community?
So we are on several different social media platforms. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, through our website. We have an app. We have a social outreach coordinator. We're constantly out in the community. We have some connections through JAFCO. You can find us through them. And we also, I would say, get a lot of clients through word of mouth.
So Eagles Haven, for those who don't know, is powered by JAFCO. Can you explain a little bit about that?
So we actually are a funded program by the Children's Services Council. And JAFCO as an agency oversees our programming.
The original Eagles Haven started in Parkland, and then they moved to a storefront in Coral Springs. So do you see increased activity in being a storefront? It's so accessible for people to just kind of drive by and walk in. And you can kind of take us through once they walk in, how they're greeted. I know I kind of asked you a twofold question.
So yes, we are actually a storefront here in the Heron Bay Plaza, which is right on the edge of Coral Springs and Parkland. And we've got a sign on the door that says we're open 8 days a week. I think that intrigues people. And
Yeah.
Of course, as it states, we are a wellness center trying to rediscover hope and wellness. So that really is something that draws people in.
I know when I always go in, right through the front door, I know Victoria's there at her desk,
Yes.
welcoming you. It's so nice. There's couches, there's water, there's drinks, there's sweets for people to really feel that welcoming, hug. How do you run through from start to walking them and back and getting them settled?
You are right. It is the most warm and inviting environment. It's got such a it's beautifully decorated. We have Victoria at the front. We've got our clinical navigators that are trained and ready and waiting for any client that walks through the door. Really, our motto is everybody is welcome, and we want you to feel at home here at Eagles Haven. So as you walk down the hall, you'll see we have our navigator's office. We will have 2 offices where we can meet with clients. And then once you get to the back, you will have access to our wellness room. So we have a really beautiful large wellness room where we can host large groups of people for wellness classes. We offer educational instructional classes in the back. Really, we can host any type of thing that serves this community.
So that's just somebody who really kind of comes in for a specific art program or music program. But then we have parents or that have noticed that their child is suffering. Can you tell me how that is once the parent takes the child and in an emergent situation, how they find the mental health trauma counseling.
Anybody can come to the door with a crisis, and really, Parkland Cares, your grant money is going towards that crisis programming. It is such a critical service that we offer because this community really is suffering in so many ways. And again, we're also going through a pandemic.
Right.
So on top of the tragedy that they have endured, we now have this added extra layer of stress. We are ready and willing to help any client that knocks on that door, who calls us needing any crisis service. So once somebody comes to us, they will be greeted. A navigator will meet with them. We have private rooms where we can sit and meet with those families. We will do a comprehensive safety assessment, including a suicide risk assessment using the Columbia Risk Assessment. We make sure that there's no other safety risks within their environment. And then we can go ahead and further assess for whatever pressing needs that family has. We're really here to assist them with whatever they need to make sure that they are safe when they leave this building.
So what is a navigator?
Those are our clinicians. They are called clinical navigators, and our clinicians are on site to handle any crisis client, and they also handle our family strengthening clients.
So like you said, we are going through a pandemic.
Yes.
And now a lot of your counseling is online.
So when the pandemic first happened, we made sure that we put all of our wellness classes on virtually immediately. There was no gap in service. So our clinical navigators were reaching out to all of our clients to let them know we are here, we are available. Our wellness classes are going online. Please join us. They were checking in with clients on a daily basis to make sure that they were managing. We also never left the actual storefront. We were always here, although we were closed in terms of drop-ins. If we have had a crisis client or have a crisis client still today that needs to be seen in person, we will meet with them in person using CDC guidelines.
How many sessions do you do for somebody coming in with an emergent situation before you triage them out to another organization? And how do you choose the organization, being a four-wall therapy versus an equine therapy versus a group therapy? Am I correct that you see them approximately 3 sessions before you triage them out?
There's really no limit on how many times we can meet with a client. We've had many clients where we have met with them for several months because we wanted to make sure that they were fully connected and their goals were being met. So at times we may move them to a different program within Eagles Haven. If that's not something that works for that family, we can still meet with them through our crisis program, which is why we are so grateful for the Parkland Cares dollars, because at the end of the day, if that client needs consistent assistance and maybe they're not open to our family strengthening program, but they still need that consistent help, we can be there. So we will see them through until we are ensured that they are fully connected and safe and they feel comfortable with whatever services we recommended.
So for the donors out there that want to give Parkland Cares money and help fund our program, can you explain how our dollars are used at Eagles Haven?
If I could, I will walk you through a typical crisis case because it might give you really that picture of what that looks like and where those dollars go.
Perfect.
Because really the dollars are going towards our clinicians who are trained to handle any crisis. It is a frightening process when a child is suicidal and when your child is unable to be maintained in the home safely. And for families, that process is incredibly scary. So to have a clinician drive with you, sit with you, walk you through that is incredibly powerful. In addition to that, once that child has, let's say this is a child that was hospitalized and the child is then released, the discharge process is frightening for parents because now this child is coming home. So we will help them walk through that discharge process. We will be with them. Once they get home, we will make sure that that safety plan that was put into place is they are comfortable with that safety plan. Maybe that means that we are modeling for them what that looks like. Maybe we are role playing with that family to make sure that they have all the safety procedures in place. Maybe then from there, we're checking in with that family 2 to 3 times a day to make sure that that child and that safety plan is effective. From there, possibly we will help them walk through some of the referrals for therapy. Maybe they need psychiatric services. Maybe they do need some wellness activities here on site, possibly equine therapy. There's many different modalities, mind-body skills. We can help that family get those services in place and consistently monitor them to make sure that it is effective and working for that child. So that's kind of an example of where those dollars go, because it's many, many hours to help a family really ensure safety for their child.
So were you around when the shooting happened in 2018? How did you kind of come into Eagles Haven and take over?
I worked for DAFCO for many years prior as a clinician. And so when I moved over to Eagles Haven, it really was a natural transition. My family is here in Coral Springs, so I am connected to this community. I just knew that this was a perfect position for me. Wellness is something that I integrate into my own life personally. I believe in it. I use it. It really is what has helped me personally through the pandemic, is all of the self-care practices that I use on a daily basis. I absolutely loved sharing that information with the community, our clients, the students, parents. It's such powerful information to know how to implement mindfulness techniques, self-care strategies, and things that, especially during this pandemic, are critical, given the fact that we're so disconnected. I think that disconnection is one of the biggest issues that we're having. And so being able to connect online has been a real blessing, just because we've been so separated. Now, as things are starting to get to shift, we've been able to have some of our support groups on campus here, or on site rather, and using CDC protocols, masks, all of the safety measures. And it's been really nice to see some people in person.
So if you have some in person and maybe the overflow is on Zoom, is that how you do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So all of our wellness classes are on Zoom, and we have a multitude of wellness classes. We got really creative with some of our art classes that were incredibly popular. So we began a curbside pickup program. So the community can come and they can sign up for the class and pick up their supplies and join us online.
Well, thank you so much for being part of the community and letting Parkland Cares partner with Eagles Haven. We truly feel that your organization is so spectacular for so many different reasons. It's not the traditional therapy. You have art, you have music, you have, when I look online and I see things, I know you did Andy Warhol painting, I think, with soup cans, right?
We've done paintings, yoga, meditation, journaling. Yeah. I mean, it's an endless list.
Yeah, I think it is so fabulous, not only for the youngsters, but also the adults. I know you have adult programs, and we thank you so much for helping and giving back to the community. And we are so glad that, again, that Parkland Cares has funded you and will continue to fund. Can you tell us how to reach you, or, how to go directly, what links?
Yes, absolutely. So you can reach us on Instagram. And our Instagram account is Eagles Haven. Our Twitter account is Eagles Haven 2. And you can reach us on Facebook, also Eagles Haven. You can also find us at www.eagleshaven.org.
And anyone who wants to look up Parkland Cares can also go on ParklandCares.org. We have an Instagram and we have a Facebook. Rebecca, have any final sayings you would like to tell us?
If your adolescent or child is having suicidal thoughts or thoughts of self-harm, please, there is help. You can reach out to Eagles Haven. There are many organizations. Just listen to your children and ask the question. Suicide does not have an age, so please don't be afraid to ask your young children, your teens, even your adult children. So I really appreciate this format and platform to send that message. And again, we can't thank you enough for these critical dollars.
Thank you so much. And to all our viewers out there, this is some terrific and amazing conversation. And please reach out, like Rebecca said.